My parents booted me out at 18 and left me homeless. 10 years later, they lost everything to bankruptcy and squatted my home while I was away, so I made them experience my pain. My parents didn't want kids. I was an only child, and pretty much an accidental pregnancy from what relatives have told me, as my parents claimed that they were going to be child-free when they married. My childhood was initially good, but after I started growing out of the cute phase, my parents were less inclined to spend time with me. They both worked and had their own business, which they started together. That business was their life, and I was always second fiddle to it. Any other close members of the family, like my grandparents, lived states away, and I barely knew anything about them till I was an adult. So, I had no other family around my entire childhood. I was practically raised by TV and my school teachers. My own birthdays by the time I became a teenager were often spent without my parents, as they just give me some money and tell me to go out and buy whatever I wanted. It was more or less the same with Christmas, and sometimes even back to school shopping. We wouldn't have even had a Christmas tree after I turned 10 if it weren't for the fact I convinced my parents to buy a fake one I could build up and then take apart later every year. Suppose I were to describe my parents. Think of them as those people who always wear black, drink lots of wine, and look down their noses at people. And the last I saw of my parents, they still looked and acted the same way. After I turned 18, my parents told me that since I was an adult, they expected me to move out as soon as I was able. I was working part-time because I was still in high school, and I didn't have anywhere near enough saved for college. And not long after high school ended, my parents told